recording. I'm really, really excited for this topic, you guys. And I thought, Becca, I really have just seen in the last few months turning new leaves in her business, really just standing in her power, letting her true, authentic self just shine. And because of that, her business has really gone to the next level. And it all really comes down to her ability to be herself, to connect people to her story. And when we talk about that, we're going to dive into like storytelling and what that looks like and how to do it in a way that is yours and how to connect to your right audience. And so Becca really has, if you've been following her on social media, she's just really fun to watch. She's very authentic. She's a mom of 5 and 2 sets of twins. So you see you just see the real life with her, and that's why people love her. They are drawn to her, and she'll tell you she probably didn't start out this way, like most of us, but the steps and skills she's learned along the way to embrace her mess, if you want to call it that, and make it her message. So I'm going to turn it over to you, love. Go for it.
Oh, goodness. Well, you kind of, gave me a little introduction there, but I am still going to tell you my story a little bit because honestly, for me, like that's why discovering my avatar became so important. So for those of you, again, who don't know me, I'm one of those crazy people that has about 500,000 kiddos. I have 5 of them, ages 5 to 2. So 2 sets of twins, and those 2 sets of twins are 18 months apart, which means most of my life is chaotic, like 110% of the time. And that's one of the reasons that I started this business, because I needed something for me. I was pouring into my kiddos and, my husband and my family, and those are all good things, right? Those are all good things that all of us do. But I needed something that was specific to me. So I was actually a challenger before I became a coach. I was a challenger for about 3 months. And like all of us, I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with becoming healthier for myself. I fell in love with finding these tips and bettering my family. And hey, in a family of 7, any extra income is great income. It really didn't matter how much, because at that time, we were buying diapers for 4 kids out of the 5, and we were buying a case of formula from Costco every 2 weeks. So, that's kind of where my background came from, why I became a coach. And so I share that because when I then took that leap to become a coach, we all have that warm market. And I had some people who had been following my stories. They had seen my crazy pregnancies. And so they kind of naturally wanted to join in. And I think most of us have that experience when we start this business, that you have people who just, regardless of what it is that you're doing, they're going to jump in with you. But I didn't have a huge warm market. So I went through that pretty quickly, and also then quickly entered this kind of struggle where I was butting heads with my business. And so naturally I started doing what I think most of us do. We look at those people who have posts that are exploding, and we look at people who, are doing really well, and we try to do that. So I fell into this kind of habit of becoming a copy and paste coach. I would see these posts from Dara Do Awesome. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm totally going to do that. And I would do it on my page and it would flop. And I wouldn't exactly understand why. And so I'm like, okay, Dara has 2 kids. Maybe I need to look at somebody else who has a lot of kids like me. So I look at Whitney, naturally. She has 4 kids. And I would try stuff that she was doing and it would flop. And I reached this point of having to sit down and think, what in the world is going on? Because these people who are doing great things and awesome things, it's not working for me. And what I didn't realize at the time was, it's because everybody could see through that. Everybody could see that I wasn't actually being me. And so I dove into this training. A couple of you, I think, who are on the call, I'm not really seeing many of you pop in, but Dara's done it. It's one with Jesse Regan, who I, you know, at least want to say, if you've never heard of him or checked him out, just give him a look over. He has some phenomenal information on this concept of an avatar. So when I was first introduced to the avatar, I had no idea what it actually was. I had seen, I think there's a movie, is there a movie called Avatar or something, or The Avatar, where he like goes into this morphed world or something. That's what I thought an avatar was. I'm like, that really makes no sense for me and how I'm supposed to share. So I want to start talking about what in the world an avatar is first before we dive into this. And really, this was the shift, making the shift from being this copy and paste coach to really honing in on my avatar is what, like Dara said, caused this really fun experience to happen in my business, and for me to start coming into contact with that cold market that I think can be very hard for some of us to break. So an avatar, if you want to think about it this way, is kind of like this embodiment of a person or an idea. And so I like to actually try and put on this helmet of a person. It's the who that you are talking to every single time you post. And believe it or not, that who is not the same for all of us. It's different for every single person. And this who is also going to change then because it's fluid, just like our lives are fluid. And how you discover your avatar, there is a document. I wish I knew how to screen share because I would share with you right now, but there is a document of a lot of really great questions that can help you kind of get a little more specific in who your avatar is. But what I'm going to do is just walk you through a couple steps to get you to understand that a little bit. And I'm sorry if I'm rambling. My kiddos were insane tonight. But is this making sense so far? So like the avatar is not, it's not this far off distant thing. Like it's the who of whatever it is, of everything that you do as a coach. It's who you're trying to attract. I see you nodding, so I'll just keep talking. So how do you discover who your avatar is? It's more than just this thing. And I'll use the example of like Gap clothing because I love Gap clothing and I also love Banana Republic clothing. But it's not just that. It's not the store. It's what types of clothes inside of that store do you like? And for me and my avatar, it's, okay, we don't even shop at that store. We really like the clothes, but I'm going to find them at a thrift store. So do you see the difference in like shopping at Gap and Banana Republic versus Gap and Banana Republic thrift store? Like that's your avatar, like getting that specific in your interests, getting that specific in your story. So a lot of you drink coffee. Do you do Dunkin' and Starbucks or Starbucks, I guess you could say? Why? The avatar is getting into the why you even choose anything from day to day. So I don't know, for me, there, to give you like a real life example for me, when I talk about coffee on my page, I go to a Starbucks because there was one like less than 5 minutes away from my house, and they give me this ginormous one that I absolutely love. And I also like the taste of it. I like the branding on it. Like there's all these different elements that I like from that coffee, but it's more than just the brand. So when you think about it, and this will be the last, I wish I had a candy bar, but I purged it off for 2B Mindset. So when you're thinking about your avatar, it's more than just this candy bar that you're looking at. It's also going to be what's inside that wrapper. Like what are you trying to uncover every time you talk? You can't just talk about surfacial, like life things. You have to get a little bit deeper than that with your avatar. So some of the questions that I struggled with in the beginning, because I am not a person who likes to be vulnerable. And Dara will talk about that in a little bit. But for my story, you know, I had this perception that I had to be perfect every single time I posted on social media. Because I thought I had to be this perfect coach because that's what everybody wants to be, is they want to be perfect, right? But being perfect doesn't make you relatable at all. So in my story, I had to become real with different things. Like, for example, different things that are a little more specific to me, even as a twin mom, is that I was also a NICU twin mom, is that I was also a preemie mom. All of my kids were preemies, not just my twins, my singleton. Even beyond that, I had a little bit of PTSD with my experience. Like, all of those specifics were things that played into my story of why I even respond certain ways on social media. And I was repressing that for a very long time. But when you repress that, people see through that. When you are trying to be something else that you're not, everybody sees through it. Whether they are someone that has known you for a long time, or whether it is someone who has just come to your page, they will know when you are being authentic or not. So some questions to kind of help you get more specific in your own avatars. If you have a pen and paper, I encourage you to grab them now, are why do they want certain things? So for us, those certain things can mean, why do they want to lose weight? So for me, it was because they 80 to 100 pounds twice. Like, that was my why. That's why I wanted to lose weight. But what about your avatar? What is the specific reason as to why they are wanting to lose weight? Do they have a health issue going on? Do they have, a spouse who is experiencing a struggle and it kicked them into gear as to why they want to lose weight? Why in the world do they want to do certain things? Another good question is, what do they want more of? So for me, I wanted more family time. I want my husband home more. I want to have, all of those luxuries, I guess, if you want to call it, of this life by design. So for your avatar, when you're talking to them and you're trying to share your coaching experience, what is it that they too desire to have more of? It's not just this opportunity that we're sharing. We also have to share the why of that. And on the flip side of that, what do they want less of? I know a lot of it is we want less guilt, whether it's less guilt with the scale, less guilt with the mom guilt of having to be away from our kids. What is it in your avatar specifically that they want less of, maybe by participating in this opportunity? What is something that they struggle with? And guys, we have a lot of them. Like, you could write pages worth of information for all of these questions, but doing that, sitting down and getting more specific about why these are important to you, are really what are going to flip the switch for you in being able to connect at a deeper level with those who are following you. What is something that they need help with is another really great question. Do they need help with organization? It doesn't just have to be related to health and wellness. What do they need help with in their life? For me, I need help with organization because my life is chaotic 100% of the time. So rather than me just doing word vomit a lot, I do also ask questions of my people. You have to be willing to enter this kind of reciprocal communication with them because it's not all about you. And that can be very hard to realize as a coach. When you are sharing on social media, it's not all about you. You have to be willing to take that extra step to connect into the why, to connect into the struggle, so that a deep connection can be made. And we all have different things about our stories. Like, many of you know Mandy, who is also on the team. She is a twin mom, but her experience as a twin mom is very different from my experience as a twin mom. And no other coach, like, whether or not our experiences have similar elements, none of our stories are the same. So the combination of those elements is different for every single one of us. And I hope that you understand that. Like, we all bring so much to the table, and we all have incredible aspects to our stories and to our lives. And when we are able to embrace that and share that, to make that switch and not hide from it, it's incredible the kind of connections that you can make. Because your target audience needs to hear your story. They need to hear your why. If they needed to hear Dara's, they could just as easily go over to her page. For me, if they needed to hear Whitney's, they could easily go over to her page. But they are drawn to you. So they need to hear your why, your struggle. Why do you show up and do what you do every single day? it's deeper than just I want to get healthy. It's maybe because, like, for me, my grandfather had a heart attack at the age of 35. I'm 31. I don't want to have that happen. There are so many deep elements that you need to uncover here. And before I kind of ramble on about that, I'll keep going with this idea of the story, because it also goes into why we choose certain tools for our toolbox. Like, why in the world did we even choose Beachbody over something like Avocare or Juice Plus or, you know, whatever other Band-Aid it is out there that people are trying to do? You have to hunker down the deeper levels of that why, because that's where the true connection can happen. So it also means for us, we're going to share everything. We can't just be this picture perfect coach. We can't just be this copy and paste coach that has this glimmer of hope and, you know, poops rainbows and butterflies every single day. Like, that's not real life, and that's not authentic. We have to be willing and able to share the good, which is awesome, but we also have to share the bad and the ugly, because that is where we can find some of our really amazing connections with people. And I think I'll turn it over to Dara, because she has some really interesting things to say about storytelling and how to do that.
Do I? Oh,
Yeah.
I hope I can live up to this. So, Becca, that was awesome. And you know, that's the thing that I love about this. Like, even 7 years in, when you think you have it all figured out, there's still so much more to learn. And that's why I love just these settings that I get to learn from all of you. And it's really incredible. So thanks for sharing so far, because when I started on social media, it was a different world. There were not many people doing this. There were not many people that had online businesses. Beachbody really set the pace. Like, everything you see on social media now, really, I feel like came from Beachbody coaches. We were like the first ones. Sorry. If you hop on, did someone say something? Okay, did you have a question, or you need to mute yourself? I don't know what happened. Okay, so I just feel like when you see like groups and like events and all of these things, like, that really came from Beachbody. And now in today's social media world, it is busy, right? Like, you know that things are changing on social media every 6 months, literally, like every 6 months. The training that Beck was talking about, Social Team Builder, they have to redo their training, and their training is extensive, you guys, extensive. They have to redo that whole thing every 6 months as social media changes. So that's how rapidly things are changing. So it's really important to stay abreast of those changes so you can adapt and evolve with it. And I think that's the big thing about being an entrepreneur, is being open to change. And trust me, I hate change, but I've learned that I need to do it in order to grow and to grow my business. And so, you know, I wanted to start off my piece with this quote. So you probably have already heard it. So to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you into something else is the greatest accomplishment. So I'm going to say it again. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you into something else is the greatest accomplishment. The thing about what you have at your fingertips right now is all that it really is about you being you. You being authentically, unapologetically you, and everything that comes with you. Because guess what? Everyone's already taken. Everyone else is already taken. So this is about you connecting to that person in there and slowly starting to peel back the layers. And so you think about, what is your message? What is your message to this world? And I think a lot of it comes back to our why. And we talk about the why all the time, don't we? Like, when you are signing up to be a coach, your mentor is asking you, so what do you want out of this? Why did you become a coach? And it changes and evolves over time, right? When I signed up to be a coach, it was to quit my full-time job and be the ones to raise my kids. I've done that. So I still have to constantly dig deep and figure out, what is my purpose? What is my why? So that I know what my message is, so that I can connect to my avatar. And so you think about, when you think about being you, it really is, Becca talked about this already, is being vulnerable. It's really about not this highlight reel. It's not the perfect you. And I did that for so long. I thought that as a coach, that meant I had to be perfect. And guess what? Who relates to being perfect? Anyone? Yeah, no. No one wants to follow someone who is perfect. They're like, unfollow, bye-bye. Like, I don't want you in my circle. You are making me feel terrible about myself, right? So I'm looking at faces out here, and I may call on some of you in a minute, that I feel like are very, you've honed in on this. Like, you feel you're standing in your power. You are very vulnerable with your story. And I'm thinking of one right now with Larissa and a breastfeeding story. Do you remember that? Your breastfeeding post? Yeah, it came up in my news feed again today, Larissa. There was like 23,000 people liked it, and how many shares, and just nuts. Go ahead, unmute yourself and share that.
It was back in September. It had like 14,000 shares and like 20,000 reactions and stuff. And it popped up because, I mean, I kind of did it on purpose. I went and I found it, and I replied to a few comments because people were actually still commenting on it. So I went and I responded to a few of the comments, and then over the last few days, I've actually had more people who were actually on my friends list when I originally posted it, and they were seeing it for the first time. But it resonated with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, and what? Just quickly tell people what that was about.
So I was nursing my daughter. She was 16 months at the time, and I actually have a little tip in here too that I got from Social Team Builder that I'll share too when I was posting it. But I went to the doctor's office, like an urgent care and stuff, and the medical assistant was like asking me questions about stuff, and she found out that I was still breastfeeding, and she looked at me and she was like, "How old is she?" I was like, 16 months. And she's like, "Girl, there's something wrong with you." And like, I got enraged about like just something that could be so insensitive, and it got me thinking about like other moms who might be told something like this. And like, I'm very confident in my decision to breastfeed, but it made me angry for other moms who might be struggling with that decision. So actually, she walked out of the room, and this was my tip: is I was like feeling all the fire, right? Like, I was feeling all the passion. I could have held on to that and wrote about it the next day and stuff, but it wouldn't have had the same impact. So she walked out of the room. I pulled up the notes on my phone, and I typed out, like, I kind of like brain dumped everything I was feeling, and like the takeaways and the inspiration and the passion and like all that stuff. I kind of just got out of me and into my notes section, and turned it into a message encouraging breastfeeding moms to not let people bring you down. Like, there's so many people out there to support you, like really turning it into a message to connect with other moms who might be unsure in their decision. So then the next day I went and read through it and like, you know, edited up, tweaked it a little bit. I took a picture and I posted it, and it went super viral.
Well, and let me ask you, why did it go viral? Who is your avatar? Who is your niche?
Breastfeeding mamas.
That's right. So, and how many other moms connect to that? I mean, I can't tell you how many times when you're out breastfeeding in the public, you get these kind of reactions. It's crazy, but it's true. And you were that voice for all the women that have felt something while they're right. I just think that was it. And it was her being vulnerable at that, because how many times have those things happen where we don't speak out? And I'm not saying you need to speak out about everything, but something that's near and dear to your heart as an influencer, imagine the impact and the ripple effect Larissa's post made for other women that exactly felt like that, the encouragement that she offered, and seeing all of these women band together to show support for that. It's just incredible that it's still going.
Can I say one more thing about it? I think one thing that helped too is like, that whole situation was very negative. Like, it was a very negative situation. So I could have gone on there and I could have just complained about it and talked about it and just talked about the situation and been complaining about it. But I think a really important thing with storytelling is taking whatever is going on and turning it into some kind of message or encouragement or support, even when it's a negative situation. So I think that helped a lot too.
Well, and I think you make a really excellent point, is you didn't fire off right then. You wrote down all of the feelings that came over you, all of the emotions, so that you could revisit that in a place where you were ready to put that into words that was not attacking anybody else, right?
Yeah, so, exactly.
So give yourself some time. If you feel like you're going to explode on social media with something, Give yourself some woosah. Talk to Larissa.
Yeah, and I think it's important too, because honestly, if I would have waited until the next day, like I don't know if anybody has dealt with that same thing where like you have this idea for this like awesome, like impactful thing, and you go to
You
do
have
it
to
the
follow
next
the
day.
nudge. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and you have to, like, there's been times where I like even step out of the room. I'm like, I gotta step away for just a minute. I just gotta brain dump some ideas. I don't post it. I don't like perfect it. Just get out what you're thinking and everything like that. And yeah, because if I would have waited till the next day, it wouldn't have had the same impact, because people can pick up on the energy when you're getting that out.
Where's my girl Bree? I mean, we talked about this on our trip. Bree just gets in her zone. I'll be on the toilet, my legs are falling asleep. Ryan's like, well, are you doing a post? Yes. Just let me manage my thoughts. Right, Bree? Like, you're just get it out. You're like in the zone. So
No, I have to just say, like, exactly what Larissa said. Sometimes you need to go away. Like, if it's in your head, you need to step away and just, like she said, brain dump. Because it's like, I don't always post those things right away. It's just, you have to write it and separate it first.
Mm-hmm.
And that tends to be like when I get the biggest response from people, is if it's written first.
And, you know, these three ladies, I'm not saying just because I followed them for a while, they really do a really good job of storytelling. So if you're looking for inspiration, these three do a really great job. So, you know what, as we talk about being vulnerable, is funny because today is first day of summer break. I'm a hot mess. Your schedule goes out the window, right? And I'm thinking which I never get to shower before 8, 9 p.m. I was like, I'm going to do my hair. I'm going to do my makeup. And here I am. I haven't showered. And, you know, and that's real life. And I guess I just want us to know that, like, it's never going to look like it does in our head. And that's okay. And I think that part of being willing to like roll with that and share that on social media. How many other moms don't get a shower until the end of the day? How many other moms feel like the day's just gone and it's bedtime again, right? So like sharing those pieces. I also have something personal happening in my life, like hormonal issues. And I went to see a wellness doctor who prescribed me something that caused my hair to fall out. And so I'm being so like I had to come at it in a place where I felt like I was ready, in a place where I felt like I could finally try to find like the silver lining. And I know it sounds so vain, right? It's so small, you guys, but I'm just saying, like, when you get to a place where you've grown through it, you've done personal development, you know, you're in a community of supportive people, you just really feel empowered to start coming out with those things. And that's what people connect to. They connect to real life. And so when you think of like why people are here on social media, they're here for really three things. They want to be educated, they want to be entertained, or they want to engage. So educate, value. The biggest thing that you can do as a coach is add value into others' lives. Let me ask you, how many times do you think someone opens their social media and they see someone posting positivity, like encouraging other women, posting a recipe and offering value, or posting and talking about workout benefits, or posting tips on how to get back on track after the holiday? Like some of the things I see you post, like how often do you think people see that in their feed? Not very often. They're seeing negativity and people fighting about politics and the school things, right? And so you are that light. You are the one to be there to add value into people's lives and to teach them things that they didn't already know. I can tell you, when I was on my journey, like as I was pregnant and then really wanting to lose the baby weight, I wanted to soak up so much knowledge from other women who had done it, who had gotten in shape after babies. And I wanted to follow them because they gave me the inspiration. They were giving me value. They showed me ways that I could, incorporate clean eating. They showed me ways to, work out, or all these different things. And so that's value. People they're going to follow you because you're adding value in their lives. And the next thing is entertain. People want to be entertained. I mean, that's reality. I mean, why not make people laugh? And so that Becca, I think, does a really good job of that. And the last thing is engage. And Becca talked about that. Like, this is not just a one-way street. This is social media. Like, people are here to be social. They want to engage. And so asking your followers for their opinion, whether it's something as simple as like, I'm going to Summit and I'm going to a party or I'm presenting, what do you think about this dress or this dress, A or B? Or I've asked about like problems with Ryder and sleeping or his temper tantrums or whatever. Like moms want, or people here they want to feel like they are being valued. They want to feel like they are being, what's the word? Like engaged. Like they want to feel like they have their opinion and it's being heard. So when you think about those three things, like when you go to post, are you doing any of those three things, right? Because at the end of the day, this is about connecting to people on the other end. And like Becca said, you have a warm market that's going to run out eventually. And you think about your warm market, those are people, my mom's on here. She knows me since the day I was born. She has to love me, right? But she knows me. And my warm market, when that runs out, you're thinking about cold market. How long did it take your warm market to become warm market, to get to know you? They're still getting to know you. Think about a cold market. You can't just jump into a cold market and expect them to be your customers and coaches. You have to share your story in a vulnerable, authentic, but inspiring, just like Larissa said, you need to find, before you go like sharing something, find the silver lining, find a way to flip that and turn it into a positive, because you are an influencer, and to build trust with these people so that eventually they do become your warm market. That you can continue to experience amazing growth in your business and make an impact, whether it's your warm market and your cold market. Eventually you are going to have to tap out into your cold market. And if you do this, if you really identify to who you are, who your avatar is, and storytelling, you're going to see explosive growth in your business. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Becca.
That is the perfect segue. Okay, because I have an analogy right now. I want you to think about when you met your significant other. I want you to think about the first time you met someone who has remained present in your life for a long period of time. That relationship did not happen overnight. And if it did for you, you're lucky. But when you enter into these relationships, because that's what it is on social media, it's this give and take relationship. And those types of things take time. What did you do when you first met your significant other? Well, we went on a couple dates. We, did some adventures. We, different things like that. You do specific things so that you can get to know them. And the same thing is true on social media. It's almost like you're dating your avatar. Like it's going to change over time. It's not going to stay the same. And that also, I know for me, presented a little bit of a struggle for a little while, because I was so stuck in this, oh my gosh, I'm a NICU mom. Oh my gosh, I'm this preemie mom. Oh my gosh, like I had the worst pregnancy experiences ever. And it took me forever to move beyond that. But it's because I didn't realize that my avatar had actually changed. My avatar, me, is actually now a toddler mom. My avatar is now this crazy mom whose 5 kids are now home for their summer. Whereas 6 months ago, my avatar was 3 of them are at school half of the day. So your avatar is going to change. So you have to be willing to also change with it and continue to get to know them, just like you did your significant other. Did your significant other stay the same after you got married? I don't know about you, but I discovered so many things that I did not know about my husband. And I thought I knew everything, but so many things about him after we got married. And so you need to keep trying to peel back those layers. It's like in Shrek. If you saw that movie, like that metaphor with the onion, like peeling back all of those layers. There are so many different pieces that make up your story and your family's story, because that's part of this journey too, because it's not just about you. There's also elements of our family in there. If you don't have a family, it's about, your life and your job and the different things that you do, and being able to peel those back and get to snuggle in with those elements a little bit are what are going to help you connect at an even deeper level. Because honestly, the people who are attracted to you then, you have to be in the mindset too that they already want what you got. So you don't need to be on social media throwing out products all the time, because nobody is attracted to that. Like Dara said, people want to be entertained. People want to learn. And they want to be empowered, like she said, because there is so much negativity out there you guys see it, I see it. But being willing to change, I know we all struggle with that, is another element about you. You have to be willing to revisit all of those questions. You have to be willing to kind of grow with your avatar too, because your avatar is also going to struggle in this as well. But it's like dating, and dating changes from date to date. But it takes time. You know, I think when we hear different topics like of an avatar, we hear this, you know, you saw the storytelling trainer, like, oh my gosh, this is totally going to transform my business and it's going to change everything tomorrow. And these steps are great. And these steps are the tools for your toolbox that are going to help you connect at a deeper level with your audience, but it's also going to take time. And that means you need to be willing to show up to those elements and to your avatar every single day. And it takes some work, because I know for me, it didn't happen overnight. I'm not a person who likes to be vulnerable at all. Like, you can ask most of the coaches on my team, because a lot of them have known me for a long time. I'm a wall builder, and I have like, being vulnerable is something I have hardly ever done in my entire life. But being able to take that wall down brick by brick, even if that's how you discover your avatar, you know, rather than doing an emotional vomit, if you just take it down piece by piece, you're going to be amazed at how many different people you can connect to. I mean, right now we have 2B mindset, which is huge, because everybody has to eat every single day. And there are so many elements to that that people can relate to, like beyond the emotional eating, beyond the binge eating, which is a big component for my avatar. Like, I was a compulsive weigher for a very long time. And so correcting that relationship and sharing that has been huge for people on my page. You know, because maybe it's not the overabundance, but it's this mindset of deprivation. So finding those specific reasons for you, you know, what is it for you that made this program resonate? Or 80-day obsession, what is it for you and your avatar? Why exactly is it working? And why exactly did you need it? Having those questions in the back of your mind as you're posting, like, I think of it as like this helmet that I put on every single time, and you need to be able to sit down and pause. Like Larissa said too, you have to be able to separate and pause and put on that avatar helmet. Because doing so, you have to be able to envision who you're talking to, because if you don't, you're going to run the risk of your post just kind of being blah out. And you need to be thinking about, how can you make your post stand out in a good way, even if there is a struggle? How can you make your story stand out in a good way, even if there are some sad times? It's that extra 45-degree turn in your post that is going to make all the difference. It's that extra 45 degrees that's going to cause that connection to happen.
Well, what do they say? If you're talking to everyone, you're actually talking to no one.
No one. Yeah. Yep.
How many of you guys, let me ask, you know, when Becca was talking about time, and it's such an interesting thing, right? We have these like microwave dreams, right? And we actually have like, sorry, I'm messing it up. We have crockpot dreams and a microwave society, right? We want everything to happen right now. But if you think about your business and your storytelling the same as your fitness, right? It's the journey, right? It's the time. It's who you become in the process of achieving your goals that makes it so beautiful, right? Even though we want it right now, we want it to happen right now. It's that growth journey that makes it so special and rewarding when you get there. So you might feel like telling your story, it's going to feel uncomfortable and it's going to feel unsexy and you're going to feel vulnerable and you're going to not want to do it, but it's that process that's going to help you get to where you are today. Becca, how long did it take you to tell your story in order? Like, Becca's engagement right now is off the charts, off the freaking charts. And
I have a baby page. I have a very baby page. It is tiny.
So how long did that process? And this is not to deter you, but this is to help you understand this time, this concept of time. It will take time, but just curious.
For things to really start, like, it takes consistency, guys. And I would say, I gotta count on my fingers, from when I purchased the training and started, I would say like 5-6 months. Like, it takes time. I mean, there was engagement before that, and I would get snippets before that. But the point where it really like started getting fun because people learned that they could trust you or trust me, I guess in this case. But it took about 6 months because people will look back and say, okay, she's the real deal. Okay, she's incredibly sarcastic, but she's making it work. Like, you know, they have to follow you. It's like that relationship metaphor. Like it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to be easy. There were plenty of times for me where I would put up a post and they go, oh, like, I'm not sure about that. You learn as you start posting about your story, and you learn how to share. You're also going to learn how your avatar likes to hear it, because you will find telling your story maybe in text doesn't go well, but then you go live with it and it explodes. Like, sharing it in different ways is also a very important part of that, but that's a whole nother training.
Yeah.
But yeah, about 6 months. Sorry, that's a really long answer to your question about 6 months.
No, but I mean, I think that that's just really important to talk about, is the time piece, because I think we want it. We're like, okay, we're telling our story, it's happening. And I even am guilty of that. My like page has shifted through social media. I probably wasn't evolving and adapting with it. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going, you know, I'm being authentic and I'm being me and nothing's happening. And I'm like, I have to remember that this whole process takes time. So just being patient with it. And I'm curious who here who feels like they're on track with this, or is this completely new to you? Like, just on track with this? New to you? Okay, so okay. Okay. So I'm just gonna, do you guys want to have questions? Do you want to open it up for questions? Do you have anything else you want to say?
I don't. I want to answer questions, so ask them. I like talking to people older than the age of 5.
Do you think it matters what platform you do this, where you share your story, you guys? Do you think it's the same across all platforms? Let me ask you that.
I think it would be the same across all. Just I think consistency is the main thing. Like, you don't want to just show up on one platform for a really long time and then switch on to another for a long time, like, and just like go back and forth. I think it's important to just stay consistent, and there's nothing wrong with choosing and focusing on one either.
Right.
Any questions? Has anyone done any kind of like figured out their avatar? Has anyone actually taken the time to really dig deep and figure out who that is?
I did it a little bit. I gave her a name.
What?
I gave her a name.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It took me a really long time to come up with a name, but I
You have a
think
picture of her too?
I don't have the picture yet. In my head I do, but it honestly, like, if anybody goes on like YouTube and even looks up like Avatar Training or Beachbody Coach Avatar Training, like, there's tons and tons of resources out there. But I did like a few questionnaires, and I've done like a few of those. So, but again, it changes. Like, you have to make sure that you're like continuously like paying attention to that, because you go through different seasons of life, different phases of life, and stuff.
Well, like Becca said, I mean, when I started this, I was talking to pregnant women. I was pregnant, and then I was talking to breastfeeding women, and I'm not in that situation at all. So like my avatar has changed. Who I'm talking to has completely shifted. And so I think it's so important to constantly revisit that and figure out who it is that you're speaking to now. Not that I couldn't. And that's the thing. I mean, not that I couldn't, still talk about that, but it's just a different place now. So Becca, let me ask you, are you talking at all about, you talked about, your kids getting a little bit older, they were in school and now they're in summer. So how does that shift in your posting?
Because a lot of my time now is with them versus like I had more time earlier to clean and everything. So now my stories have these chaotic moments of like my kids with random dustpans and whatever helping me clean. Like there's been a shift in how I do different things during the day and when I share. And a lot of mine now like have me with a very large coffee cup in my hand. Like because I think there was one, you know, my hair was like half done. It was still wet. I was sitting on my bathroom floor. You could tell it was my bathroom floor. I looked there. It looked like I hadn't slept in about 5 days. And people like exploded. They're like, oh my gosh, me too. Like that's what you want. You need to think like, what's going to make your avatar say, me too? Like, yes. Because one way to start, and Larissa talking got me to think about this. If you know, are feeling confused or unsettled or unsure about what in the world this topic of an avatar is, after this call, I want to encourage you to just search Google for an image. This image that kind of represents you and what you're talking to. So for me, it's this crazy, tired mom. And I literally typed that in Google. And do you know what popped up? This mom with a laundry basket, laundry like overflowing out of it. Her hair has food in it. Like, and I'm like, so that, like Larissa talked about, finding an image can help you hone in a little bit, because how you talk to that mom with a messy bun with egg in her hair and laundry exploding out of her hip is going to be different than how you talk to a mom in her exercise clothes with her perfect little bun and her makeup already done and who just went to Gold's Gym. Like, how you talk to those moms is going to be very different. And so I want to encourage you to find an image or find a couple images that represent who you're wanting to talk to out there, who you're trying to communicate whenever you create your posts. Because even just having that image, even if you don't answer the questions, you know, that I rattled off in here, just having that image, you will be surprised how that will change how you talk or how you share.
Absolutely.
But I was floored. Apparently, like, crazy tired mom has an image.
Yeah. You might find me there on Google.
Yeah, probably half of us in here, I'm sure. But find it and find specific things. Like, I don't know, think about different brands that you like I said before, and then just hone in a little deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions? Where are my other people? Any other silly questions? Because no question is a silly one, especially with this. The avatar is so important, and it's a topic that gets me fired up. And I'm sorry if I rambled, but it is, you know, learning who you're talking to has been so crucial to my ability just to communicate. You know, forget what has happened in my business in the last 6 months. Forget all of that. Like, just being able to share without feeling walled up or without feeling like I need to hide has been an incredible feeling. And that is something that you can't replace.
Well, and don't you think, Becca, I mean, the whole idea of avatar, I mean, didn't you have to spend a lot of time there? Because it took me a long.
I did, like I said, like, I had no idea what they were talking about. And Katie Graham, I don't know if she's on, I remember messaging her like all of the time. You're like, I just don't get it. I just don't understand what this avatar is. It makes no sense. And that's totally fine if that's you tonight, because that was me for about 2 or 3 months out of the 6 months. So it takes time.
Yeah, because I'm like, how many of you are familiar with an avatar and you've actually taken time? Right, like, you're me. Like, I did not. And so I hope that, what would be some steps that you could take now after this call? Becca, do you have any advice that someone could take, since it's new to them? Avatar is new and they're getting this information from us. What should someone do? This is because it took me a long time to figure that out. It was not easy.
I want you to think about your story, not just how it relates to Beachbody. Like, and start peeling back some layers. I think I said I do have a page that I'm going to post into the group for you guys that has a bunch of questions. And you're going to think it's ridiculous and it's silly, because I did. And the first time I did it, I'm just like, oh, I like these clothes, and oh, I like this food. I don't like this. I like that. But it's going deeper, like creating, if you remember in school where we were told to create like 3 sentences for every question. Like, I'm going to post these questions for you and just think about them. If you don't even answer them, like, just think about them and how they apply to your life. But the first step is just find an image. Like, for me, I'm very visual. And once I found that image of my avatar, things started to click for me. So
Yeah, maybe you can just share a few of your favorite resources that could help help the ladies on here.
Yeah, I'll tag them in the group for sure.
Just post those things so they can start getting the wheels turning and kind of start that process. Because it took me, I'm just going to be
honest. It takes time. Just like finding your avatar, like understanding the avatar does take time. And so, you know, for those with deer in the headlights that are like, what in the world are you talking about? That's normal. We were all there. But like, I want to encourage you to just consider this concept, because connecting at that deeper level is irreplaceable, you know, in just life and in friendships and meeting people. Because, you know, I don't know about you, I don't have a lot of time to leave my house and make friends. That's one of the reasons I started this business too. And so being able to make genuine friends based on a connection that I shared on social media is just, it's incredibly cool.
Yeah. And even taking that a step further, I mean, you think about, you know, people that are wanting to get healthy and fit, they can go anywhere, you guys. There is just saturation everywhere, right? Information overload and people pushing products. That's the last thing that you need to do. You don't need to push anything. You just need to be you and connect to people on a deeper emotional level. And then from there, the sales start to happen. Your recruiting starts to increase, but people don't want to be sold to. So, you know, think about like just kind of taking Beachbody out of the picture and really just kind of being you. That's really it. That's what people are
They don't care about your motive or what your agenda. People don't care about your agenda on social media at all. Like Dara said, it boils down to those three things: entertained,
educate and engage.
Educated, yep, those two things. You know, being sold to is not one of them. And it took me a while to learn that, you know, because we're on social media doing our business. But yeah, my first homework assignment then for you guys: find a picture to represent your avatar.
Yeah, and post it in the T page. Let's create this kind of
avatar thread.
What? Yeah, like
we can create an avatar thread. Yeah,
avatar thread. And who here is going to commit to tonight or tomorrow finding a picture of their avatar and posting it?
One. Yeah,
you got this. And then that's a good start. And then the questions, I think those are really good.
I'm going to post the questions in the group. I'll get that up as soon as we're done here. That way you guys can just start thinking about the questions, because it takes time and your answers are going to change. Yeah.
And then maybe we can do a part 2, maybe in a month, you know, after you've had time to really define who your avatar is and really start getting into storytelling. And we can do a part 2 and then it'll all click. It'll all make sense. Thank you everyone for hopping on tonight. I love you guys, and go find your avatars, post it in the team page. Let's get rocking and rolling on being authentically you, because there's no one like you. You're amazing.
Everyone else is already taken, guys. Everyone else is already taken.
Bye.
Bye.